Still watching Beryl as it has now emerged over the Gulf waters. Kind of a lot going on with it. The disruption in that circulation was a little bit more than models were calling for. What we're actually looking at is a fairly disrupted storm. Now, the center of circulation at the surface is kind of right around here, but the mid-level circulation, you got to remember, this grows in the atmosphere, is actually farther removed up toward the south, or excuse me, toward the northeast. So it's actually kind of tilted with height from where the surface circulation is and the mid-level circulation. Now, it's possible that the surface circulation could try and redevelop a little bit closer to where a lot of that convection is. Not to say it will, and none of the models really picking up on that, but just something to worth noting and something to watch for during the overnight is, will that center try and redevelop maybe a little bit farther away from the wind shear? Don't know. We'll watch and see. And if that is the case, then that would really play into the future track of the storm. And as I'd mentioned at the top of our newscast, there was a slight adjustment in the track, a little bit more to the east, so a little bit farther north along the Texas coast. And again, a big question as to exactly where it moves inland. It will likely start intensifying this weekend and continue to intensify right up to the point of making landfall somewhere along the Texas coast. Before the 10 o'clock advisory came out, we had already seen this little shift in most of the Hurricane Center's model guidance, and so we were expecting another little jog in the forecast from the center. So not a big surprise there. As far as impacts to us go, they should be fairly minimal. One thing we're likely to see is as the storm makes landfall and starts moving up toward the northeast, that flow around the circulation will begin drawing moisture northward, and I do think we'll have a better chance for some rain, especially on Tuesday, maybe lingering into Wednesday. We'll also see certainly seas will be a little bit choppier offshore. That's almost a guarantee, but we could even see some minor coastal flooding with a little bit of a storm surge at about 1 to 3 feet above high tide. So that could also be an issue. What's guiding the storm right now in the near future is this upper high, deepening upper trough will start drawing the storm northward. And this upper low to its west is kind of interesting because, one, normally this upper low would provide wind shear, dry air. That's what we're starting to see on the western side. So again, will the center maybe try and redevelop a little bit farther away from that? We'll see. But also what this tends to do is rip the storm apart. But that's not really the case with Beryl. What it's actually helping to do, and you kind of see on the northern side of it, it is allowing for this outflow. These storms near the center, it's giving them an exhaust. It's giving them somewhere for the storms to continue to blossom. That's why we're anticipating the storm will intensify right up to the point of landfall. We'll be watching it over the weekend. As far as our rainfall goes, what flooding rains we had around the city have since ended. Maybe a few little light drizzles here and there. Rainfall estimates, again, near 4 inches, and most of that was in about 2 hours. So again, if nothing else, it did help to knock some of our evening temperatures down. There is a little complex of storms out across north and central and southwestern Louisiana, but the model indicates that's going to dissipate long before it gets here. More scattered showers and thunderstorms during the day tomorrow, mainly with afternoon heating, and we could see around 50%, although now the most recent model run of our HER is calling for a little bit less. I think we'll still have the instability in place and enough moisture to get a few more isolated downpours. Again, impossible to say where we could see some of those heavy rains, but no, with plenty of moisture in place, it is certainly possible. So about a 50% chance during the day tomorrow. Does look a little bit drier as we head into our Sunday and Monday, with about a 70%, but that's really going to all play into the future of Beryl, maybe drawing some of that tropical moisture our way that could linger into Wednesday. Then the upper high that's been kind of plaguing us over the last several days looks like it'll start building back in toward the end of next week, allowing us to kind of dry out and heat up by the end of the week.